Lee, welcome back. Wonderful to see you for our first show together here since Donald Trump's historic win for his second term. How are you? You're looking sharp tonight.
Pretty good. Thank you, Jason. How are you?
I'm well. You've got a dream catcher right behind you that is defying the auto blur in kind of a cool way that's causing it to sort of appear. It's amazingly the world of computer graphics. You and I have seen it come up from a non-existent thing all the way to now. But we got a lot of stuff to discuss post-election. Joe Biden is sitting there with his finger on the biggest red button in the history of everything. Pretty stupid.
Well, let me correct you for 1 second, Jason. He
Sure.
pushed a button. His finger's not on.
Right. You're right.
There's a missile attack last night with the ATACMS in Russia. And Putin
Crazy.
already said what's going to happen if he did that. Well, he did it. It happened last night.
What I heard Putin say was he gave a list of maybe like 14 different, like Minot Air Force Base and all these different things all around that I guess are missile silos or whatever, but it's like 14 things all around the United States that he's saying they're going to nuke.
Right. Yeah. No. Putin had warned them, the Biden administration, back in September, what would happen if they, because the press always talks about the U.S. is going to give Ukraine permission to use the weapons. Well, these weapons, they can't aim without the U.S. giving the
Right.
satellite coordinates, right?
Yep.
So these ATACMS, it's like if I had a gun and I'm blind. So it's like, but if you were aiming it, well, no, who's pointing a gun? Who's aiming it? You
Yeah.
see?
No, Putin articulated it very clearly that these sophisticated weapons require real-time intelligence from United States and NATO country satellites that, Ukraine simply doesn't have this capability. It's not like handing someone a gun and saying, go shoot it. They have rooms full of computer people doing whatever to make these weapons work.
It's like I say, like if you were controlling the my arm, you put the gun in my hand, but you were pulling the trigger and you were aiming it.
It's really stupid. Well, Lee, why are they doing this? Aren't we just locked into a nuclear war now?
Well, we actually know what's going to happen if Putin does what he said he's going to do. He said if the U.S. did that, it would be considered war against the U.S. and NATO. And that's why people like Thomas Massey, God bless him, are out there saying this is, basically, let's face it. What's happening is Biden is doing this to make things bad for Trump. That's what he's doing it for.
It's like rogue action, right?
Right. And it's using these transition periods, which at one point were basically, remember when transitions were transitions? Pre-Trump? I mean, it's not Trump's fault. Trump's been the target of it. But right now, this is Biden starting a war, escalating the war. So Trump's got a mess.
Right. I mean, if there were some real national security need for a missile attack of some kind, wouldn't it be diplomatically proper to have some kind of emergency meeting at the White House and you'd say, oh, President Biden summons President-elect Trump for an emergency summit, and then they make some announcement with Trump standing there and Biden saying, okay, we've decided to shoot missiles at aliens because it's going to destroy us if we don't do it. This is such an underhanded, obvious, on-the-face move to screw Trump and us.
There wasn't a meeting about it, but he had a meeting with Trump last week, don't forget. He met with Trump, they were smiling and happy, but Trump was not told what Biden was planning on doing. And doing this when Biden's leaving office, when he knows he's lost, and the Democrats are on their way out of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, this is an act of war by Biden and the American people.
Well said. It really is an unprecedented thing in terms of like just irresponsible. It's hard to wrap your head around. It's also, you're totally correct in what you say about Putin, but it actually goes even further, doesn't it, Lee? He's been saying not just what would happen if you use these ATACMS missiles. He said, don't expand NATO. Don't put Ukraine into NATO. He's shown incredible restraint so far, I think.
Right, but this is a red line by Biden. So it's not theoretical. Putin's either going to do what he said he's going to do, and he doesn't issue a lot of red lines. He doesn't bluff, basically. So I'm very worried right now. I'm very, very worried. But that being said, I'm not sure what any one person can do right now. I mean, it's all laid out. The truth is out there. The facts are out there. And now we'll see what happens. What we can do is watch Thomas Massey, for instance. Massey's very good on this. And do anything you can to support him. If you want to call the White House and protest that way or something, feel free to do that. Be calm. But, this is World War III. So I really don't know, there's, you know what I'm saying? There's not much we can do, though.
I agree. There's very little that we can do. I think talking about it like this and, helping everybody try to understand it is the best we can do. I mean, the thing is, I do believe that Putin understands that Trump doesn't want this. Trump released, I thought, a very good video, but at a certain point, his hands are tied. He can't let the United States continually encroach. I mean, there's got to be people in Russia clamoring for him to do something.
Right. Yeah. So this is a really bad move. And if Putin does what he says he's going to do, he will be flattened in like a few days.
So you think they'll just destroy Kyiv? Yeah, why nuke Minot Air Force Base and have why not just say, where is Zelensky, and bomb that whole building, kill him?
I don't think they're going to start with nukes. I think they're going to start with heavy missiles, but not nukes. But if he launches an attack that flattens Kiev, I think we'll see what the U.S. and NATO does. See, NATO could take that. They could say, well, Putin started it. That's what we're going to do, guaranteed.
Yeah. Now, so you and I haven't spoken since the election. I know you got a lot of thoughts and things to say about that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I was not prepared for how much the election would affect me emotionally. What I mean by that is I was kind of not emotionally involved in the election. I was hoping Trump would win, obviously. I was hoping Kamala Harris would lose. But after he won, I was like, this is huge. And when I saw how he won, not only won, but won decisively in the popular vote, and so that Kamala Harris had to give up the seat the first night, election night. I was not
beautiful, wasn't it?
And I was not expecting them to immediately take the Senate and to apparently take the House. They've taken it now, but I was not prepared for that. So one thing that affected me, I decided to move back to Virginia in January. I was already talking to a friend of mine who lives about an hour outside of D.C., in Virginia, but in the rural part. And he'd offered me a room out there. I'm doing some work with my friend. I'm not hiding anything. My friend Dennis. Dennis is on the board of the NRA. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
So
Tish James is suing it.
Right. So Dennis is like part of the faction that's like the MAGA of the NRA. Does that make sense? If you
I
really
thought that
know
was the whole thing.
The NRA's got an establishment faction that's been taking money, all that stuff, and then an upstart faction. Real second, because the people who don't feel the NRA has been doing a good job protecting the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. Well, it goes hand in hand. But
there was a little bit of a scandal there at the NRA. Wasn't Maria Butina trying to do something with the NRA?
No, leave that aside. The big scandal is that, first off, Bob Barr is the head of the NRA now. How do you feel about that? And
Bob Barr,
Wayne LaPierre,
the lawyer,
who ran the NRA, was stealing money, basically.
Yeah, and the guy before him, too.
Right. So there are a lot of systemic problems at the NRA. But anyway, I've known Dennis a long time and worked with him before. And so I'm going to be doing a podcast with Dennis, focus on
Nice.
statement issues, but also other stuff they'll be producing. We talked about it today. So that'll be great
Nice.
if we're not all dead. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm saying assumes we're not all dead.
Right. Most of it, actually. Yeah.
Well, you know, uh, and we laugh about it, but I'm friends with Stanley Kubrick's daughter, Vivian Kubrick. She's been
Hmm.
a great friend. She's really been tremendously supportive of me for years. And Vivian told me about her father made a film. Maybe you've heard of it, Doctor Strangelove. Heard of that one?
Yes.
Okay. So she told me what he told her about Doctor Strangelove. That was originally based on a book called Failsafe.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Right. I've seen
And
the
the book
book,
is not
actually.
funny. The
No,
movie's
right. Yeah.
comedy, but the book was a deadly serious book about the dangers of nuclear war. And
Hmm.
Kubrick said that he had the rights to it. It was going to make it into a movie. So his thing about it, and it was so depressing and so overwhelming, that he thought the only way he could do it is as a comedy. Because again,
Wow.
it's, but you see the thinking, you know,
Yeah, pretty genius, don't you think?
yeah, I think so. And again, it also shows he's a pretty good filmmaker. Yeah, it's amazing being friends with Vivian because Kubrick's one of my favorite filmmakers since I was like 14.
Hmm.
Uh, and he's Full Metal Jacket and Clockwork Orange are two of my absolute favorite films.
Hmm.
And also, even The Shining has grown on me. I think The
Oh,
Shining is
yeah.
a great film at this point. And
Did you ever see the movie about the making of The Shining, all the hidden symbolism? I think it's called like Room 227 or something like that.
yeah, but that film's bullshit.
Oh,
It's
it
not
is?
true. Yes, it's bullshit. Because what the film to watch, you can go on YouTube and find it. Find the film about Shining made by Vivian Kubrick when she was
Oh,
17 years old.
wow. What's
She
that?
made a documentary. Type in Shining Vivian Kubrick. You'll find it.
It's amazing.
She made a behind the scenes documentary of the making of The Shining.
There it is. Yeah.
You see it?
What does she say to all the people who say that her father filmed the moon landing? Does she say no?
She said, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Look, it's from VHS, Lee.
And again, I got to say, Vivian's the kind of person who would, if he'd done that, he would say,
Right.
she basically said, I believe this because I understand, and you do too, the industry and film. Uh, very few filmmakers are really working on those kind of multiple levels that people think they are. They're more concerned with where the next film is going to be, the next job.
Right. Which is how to
You
get
know,
this one done. A lot of it is very seat of the pants.
and I mean, Vivian made that when she was 17, and it really is a great film. You get some insight into Nicholson work on a film, and it's a great film. Watch the documentary sometime.
Hmm. So,
She's
Lee,
I'll put it like this: she's a big Alex Jones fan. She's a
oh
huge
yeah,
Alex fan. So she's not the kind of person. She's not like, oh, there's no way. Well, she would,
explore
if
that.
it was true, she would say. But
Yeah.
the stuff I found fascinating. I got to talk to her about how Kubrick would get lenses. You've heard about
From
that, right?
NASA for Barry Lyndon.
No, but also she's got some stories about that one too. But also on what he would do is he would call the manufacturer. Let's say he was gonna shoot a film and he needed a 50 millimeter lens, okay?
Uh-huh.
He would get like a couple dozen lenses from the manufacturer and test them all. Because
Uh-huh.
every lens, film lenses,
Yeah.
are slightly different. Does it
Yep.
make sense?
Yeah. There's a problem in 3D.
So he'd get the lenses and find just the right one.
Hmm.
Fascinating. Also,
Yep.
by the way, another interesting thing, the idea of writing an original script overwhelmed him. If you look at his films, I think they're always based on books. Full
Hmm.
Metal Jacket is based on a book called The Short Timers. And Clockwork Orange is based on the novel Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. And he said it's too hard. Start with the book and adapt it. It's interesting.
Didn't Stephen King hate his version of The Shining for some reason?
Well, I think he hated it because, people, it's so politically charged to talk about King. But King is a great writer, let's face it. He's a really good writer. And at the time he was writing The Shining, he was an alcoholic.
Huh.
The Shining that he wrote is about alcoholism.
Uh-huh.
The character...
Because he keeps going to the bar and talking to that invisible guy.
Right. And so Kubrick did his interpretation of the book. And but I think King's grown to appreciate it.
He's cranky as hell on Twitter. He's one of these people who has self-exiled from X. Who cares?
He'll be back, I think.
Right. Yeah. That's like, I'm leaving, I'm never going to talk to you again. Okay. It's just like, this is like 14-year-old behavior.
Yeah, that's been very interesting because, of course, most people that you and I know were happy Trump won, right?
Definitely.
I personally know anyone, are you friends with anyone? Because I'm not. I'm just saying it works out that way. None of my friends were thinking
my
that
uncle created a big fight already in the car with my father. Like, he said, I can't believe you're happy that Troy. It's like, well, listen.
Yeah, that's sad. There's some obvious advantages to being disenfranchised from your family. Yeah.
You got to look at the bright side of everything, Lee. I do appreciate that. I don't know if you saw this. It just happened a few hours ago, but definitely the buddy film that is, Elon Musk and Donald Trump go to Washington is already on the third sequel. Trump was over at SpaceX, space station, whatever they call it, when they're launching the rocket. Did you see that?
No, but look, we'll see. I have no reason to think that the relationship is really hurt. Because again, you have two very rich, very powerful guys.
I think it's great. These guys are like best friends now. What do you mean hurt? I didn't say it was hurt.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misheard you.
No. They're like best friends now.
Some media is saying the honeymoon's over.
No way. This was just an hour ago. Trump was over at space. What is it called? Starbase. He was over there. And Elon Musk was running over. I mean, it's like practically like it's his like fifth son or whatever here.
Yeah, I think it's great. And so the emotional effect. Once basically what happened is I went to bed at like 9 that night. I went to sleep because I figure, okay, I'll wake up and see what's going on. I was disconnected emotionally. When I got up, it had been announced Trump had won. She conceded. It was announced they'd won the Senate, too. And as it kept going through the night, and it was an overwhelming victory. He won every swing state, for instance. I said to myself, boy, this changes a lot of things. This changes my life and my work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd be going to jail otherwise.
Friends of mine have. So one thing it affected is it makes my old work, the Pickford story, Russiagate, Ukraine, stuff with Andre.
Absolutely.
A lot of stories.
We got to get back with Andre.
If Kamala won, what chance is there the Pickford story would get any traction?
0.
Right. Now, with Trump, I'd say it's maybe 10%.
I think maybe we could get Andre unsanctioned with Trump.
I think, again, I'm not nutty. I think it's possible.
Yeah, it would be impossible with Kamala. With Trump, It's at least now possible.
There's a difference between 10% and 0%. A big difference.
Exactly.
And so one thing I did is, do you know is rumored to be named as Secretary of Agriculture? Which is the for Bigford, of course.
Who?
Thomas Massey.
Oh, wow. That would make sense. He's a farm guy and a
And
scientist.
Thomas Massey follows me on Twitter. I've never talked to him, but I'm a big fan.
Huh.
He follows thousands of people. Okay, no big deal. But still, again, there's something, right?
Yeah.
And I know people who know Thomas Massey. I'm one step away from
You
that.
could go right to
I know
Congress
people
and
who
walk
don't.
up and talk to him. I've done it 2 or 3 times.
Right, right. Well, that's why I'm planning to move back to Virginia, because I can do that. In
Right.
South Dakota, I can't do that.
No, no, no.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you get
So,
on the train, head over there, have a hearing.
no, with Andre, I talked to Andre. Again, Andre had no chance of getting unsanctioned if Kamala won. With
Right.
Trump winning, there's a chance. And so a lot of these stories are things I was going, well, forget it. That story's dead. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of my signature stories, and that's important for me at this point in my life, because again, I'm not getting better.
Younger.
I'll put it like this:
Right.
I'm not going to be a young man again.
No, I hear you, man. Listen, we're all facing that. It's funny. It's funny is the wrong word. It's actually terrible how much energy and time and money are wasted by these horrible people who want to work against the progress of society. I mean, think about how much better off the country would be and the economy would be and just the general prosperity of everybody if we hadn't had these 4 years of Biden. Let me take you back to the election for a second, Lee, because what were we going to say there?
Jason, hold on one second. I want to put
Yeah.
one book in the subscriber segment. We will talk about the Mike Rounds assault story. That's something I've been working on for 10 years. It's a major story. I don't want to talk about it here because it involves some words that could get the thing taken down, like describing sexual assault. Imagine that.
Right.
So
Which assault story is this?
what's that?
Which assault story is this?
Well, I'll talk about it in the subscriber segment. Even
Okay.
to talk about it could get you banned on Twitter.
Oh, let's not do it then.
Again,
Yeah.
just because it's one of those subjects that they find triggering.
Wow.
So if anyone's trying to take us down, but it's a big story, and that's back in play. I'll put
Well,
it like
that's
this:
good.
a number of stories I thought were out of play. I thought they were buried
Yeah.
forever, are now coming alive. So
Yeah, and we still have a lot to talk about with Matt Gaetz being nominated for Attorney General and stuff. So if people aren't already sponsoring Lee on patreon.com/Stranahan, you're going to be able to watch this sponsor exclusive segment coming up in just about 5 minutes. Plus, Lee's got a lot of other posts on there and exclusive content you can sponsor. Independent journalism.
So we got 5 minutes. Do me a favor, play my girl video. Since we may all die any day, to quote Prince.
Right. You might as well enjoy a little AI. Yeah, this has nothing to do with the sponsor exclusive segment. People can watch this for free, but this is exciting, Lee. Tell us about, first of all, this is interesting because this is how you and I first connected, was computer graphics and animation, and the degree of complexity back then in 1994, 5, 6 was, I mean, this is so phenomenal. Tell everybody what you've got right here.
Well, so what I did was I was trying to do something. I was using a new tool for rendering images, and I wanted to see how it worked and runway for the animation. So the program I'm using to generate the images is called Flux, and all these animations started with Flux. Okay, and I think they're really phenomenal. I think it's the most photorealistic.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Photorealistic computer animated humans, yes, it's absolutely among the most. It's great. And look, if you were trying to do this with traditional computer animation, Lightwave, Maya, something like that, I mean, it would take you weeks to put something like this together.
And that shot with the girl with the cowboy hat, I think I would challenge a lot of people to find it AI. I think it's doing things that are movie quality, like photography quality.
Oh yeah, sorry. We should have warned people that this is like cheesecake stuff. No nudity, but
there's no nudity.
PG-13 for the.
Anyone who's bothered by this is nothing.
Well, but people might be watching with their kids, and we didn't warn them.
Right. It's on YouTube.
Are we allowed to show computer animated guns? It's amazing, Lee. The whole entire media landscape, like you never would have thought you'd be nervous about, showing a picture of a gun. Frankly, we grew up, everybody was just shooting. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger shoot like 1 million people in 5 seconds, and then he'd say, "Screw your freedom." It doesn't quite have the lens flare right there. Wow, look at that Vegas scene.
Watch this. Watch the fountain.
Boy.
It's a shooting, but look at that.
That's really something else, Lee.
Right?
Well
I was
done.
very impressed. And I edited it in the new version of Final Cut Pro, which again is great. So I was able to put together all the shots in about 12 hours.
Amazing. Start to finish, 12 hours for that whole thing?
12 hours for the shots, and then editing took another 2 days. Only because new version of Final Cut Pro, and I'm dumb, Jason. I'm dumb. My MacBook Pro was completely full. Wouldn't work on a Final Cut. I found 200 gigs of cache files.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. And for people who don't know, that's not cash money on the barrelhead. It's CACHE files.
And by the way, here's what I had to do to fix it. It's very complex. I went into the folder, the cache folder. I picked all the files and hit delete. That was it.
Very good. Yeah. Well, Lee, we got more stuff to talk about, so stay with us, everybody. You're going to be able to join us for the sponsor-exclusive segment here on patreon.com/Stranahan, also on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to hear what you think about Matt Gaetz and some of the other appointments. We still have a lot to talk about, so stay with us, everybody.
Sure answer.